Hello neighbor, this is Curt with eTrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Aries Oval Nerf Bars, and we're going to see how they fit, how they look, and how they install on our 2024 Chevy Colorado. Now Nerf bars and running boards are really kind of the best way to shorten the step up into, a vehicle that has a higher ground clearance like our Colorado does today. It's just going to make it safer for anybody getting it in and out. It might be you, it might be the kids, might have to pick up grandma and grandpa, and really making them get up and down this higher step can be a little bit treacherous. So a Nerf bar can be both functional and very stylish. I think this Aries Oval bar is definitely both of those. It's a 4-inch wide oval tube, and it's got two 4-inch wide steps on it. The steps have a really nice grip as well, and they're going to be fade resistant over time. They are channeled a little bit to kind of keep, some moisture and stuff like that from sticking to it, but there isn't really any kind of runoff or any of that to come out to. So during the winter months, every once in a while, you might catch a little bit of an ice patch on here or something, but generally speaking, they should be pretty easy to clean off because that is very shallow. Now, being a 4-inch wide step, that's pretty good for a more rounded Nerf bar like this. It is going to provide a really sturdy step getting in and out of the vehicle. This is going to be a black powder coated steel, so it's going to be extremely rust resistant. It's going to last you a good long time. And the ends of it are welded shut, which is going to basically prevent any kind of corrosion from coming from inside of the Nerf bar, which can be a common issue with Nerf bars that have an open end like that. Now, as far as how this is going to help us getting in and out of the Colorado has almost a 25-inch step up to get from the ground up into the vehicle. That's more than 2 feet in and out every time, and even if you're younger and a bit more spry, that can wear on you if you're doing that a lot day in and day out. So being 25 inches from the ground to the door threshold, the step is going to be 16.5 inches. So while it doesn't really cut it in half, it cuts it down by about a third, and 16 inches is a lot more manageable on a daily basis than going up and down to 25. Now, as far as how these look on our Colorado, I personally really like them. First of all, I think tube steps like this are an excellent look on some of the higher lifted trim models on the Colorado. This is a trail boss, so it definitely has a little bit more ground clearance underneath it. And this style aesthetically really fits the bill as far as how this vehicle goes. Now, as far as colors and things, there's a lot of matte black finish on the trim here, which I think goes really well with the step. The gloss might throw you off a little bit until you take a bit of a deeper look and you realize that things like the bumper and taillight trim, the wheels, the top of your mirrors here, and your headlight trim all have a gloss finish very similar to that, so it actually ends up complementing it really well. Now, each side of the vehicle, the Nerf bar is attached using only 3 brackets. Installation is really easy. It is something that you can do in your driveway if you decide to, but we're going to show you in a second how the installation goes, and if you still decide that maybe it's a little more than you want to tackle, go ahead and check out our dealer locator on etrailer.com. It can help you link up with a local installer to help get these onto your Colorado. So now we're going to go ahead and walk you through exactly how we got these on. So we'll begin installation process with kind of checking out the different hardware that we're going to need. We have installed one bracket already to just kind of double check how everything goes on, but what we're going to end up with is our brackets. There are 6 identical brackets, so they're not going to be specific to the driver or passenger side, so pick any 3 for each side and they're going to end up working. We are going to have our M8 hex bolts along with M8 washers and lock washers, and we'll also have some M8 U-nuts as well. These are going to be for our brackets. Our other hardware is going to be saved for the actual tube step, which we're going to get to shortly. The tools that we're going to want for this is going to be a trim tool like this, and or a small flathead screwdriver, a ratchet with a 13mm and a 16mm socket. Now let's go down and take a look at our bracket locations. Now our Nerf bars are going to require 3 brackets on the driver's side and 3 brackets on the passenger side. However, each side has 4 mounting locations. The locations will be here, 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 and right here where we've got our rear bracket. Now, we are going to be using only 3 of them, as I mentioned. We're going to use the first location, second location. We're going to skip the third location and install on our final location right back here. So the mounting location for our brackets are going to be here and here. Now, we're on the driver's side closest to the front of the vehicle, but as you can see, this is where our bracket is going to line up. However, these holes here are not threaded. It's going to require you to insert these U-nuts so that these will go over and have a place to bolt those into. So what we're going to have to do first is take our trim tool or our flathead screwdriver, whatever we have available. We're going to remove these plugs. This one here, and then this one right here. Now, if these have never come out before, they can be kind of tight. There we go. Now, the way that these will go in is going to be to go through the bigger hole here. We want to make sure the bulkier end of this is the end that's inside of the frame. So we can slide these on just like so. Takes a little work to get these on too. They are a little tight. And if we need to, we can use our trim tool or our screwdriver to give us just a little bit of extra leverage to get that on there. And then we are going to line up the hole with that smaller hole. And now we have a threaded place to put our bolts through. We're going to do the same process up here at the top. However, this one coming in from the side over here can be difficult because of this extra piece of metal. So for this one, I'm going to kind of go straight down, and then I'm going to rotate it over into place. Just like so. This is going to be the same process for all 3 of our brackets. Now we're going to be ready to mount our brackets into place. We're going to be using our M8 hex bolts along with our M8 lock washer and our M8 flat washers in order to do this. So we'll just get it lined up like so. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of hand thread this in at first. Just right up here from the top. I'm just going to secure it for now, just loosely thread it in, just so it doesn't fall down on my face as I'm trying to put these in. Now I'm going to go up through the bottom here, and I'm just going to kind of hand tighten this down until it's snug. I'll do the same up here as well. And once I've got that, I'm going to grab my 13mm socket. And I'm going to tighten these up just a little bit. Now, I don't want to make these completely tight. I do want to leave a little bit of maneuverability in these brackets just to help us out when we fit the bars onto them later on in the installation. Just leave it a little bit of movement, just like that. Now we're going to put on the middle bracket, and we'll be able to prepare to mount on our Nerf bar. Now, the next step is going to be to grab our Nerf bar and get it mounted on our brackets. Now, unlike the brackets, the Nerf bars themselves are actually side specific. So there is a designated passenger and a designated driver's side. If you want help identifying that, as you see, our bracket placement, our middle bracket is closer to the front bracket. The bolt holes on the bottom are going to work the same way. So you can identify your driver and your passenger side by knowing that the bolt hole mounts here on the underneath of the Nerf bar itself. So we've got the right one, and these are going to end up bolting from up underneath through these slotted bolt holes here on our brackets. And to do that, we're going to use our M10 hex bolt, our M10 lock washer, and our M10 flat washer. But the first thing we'll do is get this up onto the bracket, and we're just going to kind of line those bolt holes up with the bracket holes. Now I'm going to start by hand threading these just the same way that I did with the brackets onto the vehicle. I am also not going to tighten these down completely. Because these bolt holes in the brackets are slotted, we could change the pitch and angle of this. So I'm going to get it so that it's just kind of perfectly level and flat. But before I do that and tighten anything down, I just want to get all of my bolts inserted. And again, we're just going to leave them a little bit loose so we can make our adjustments. While we do have our middle bracket bolts set, as I come up here to the front bracket, the bolt holes are just a little bit off from the bracket. But if you remember, we left our bracket bolts up here on the vehicle frame a little loose, so I can maneuver that bracket back a little bit until the holes line up and go ahead and get the bolts threaded in from there. So we're just maneuvering this a little bit to make sure that it gets level. And once we have it where we want it, we're going to take our 16mm socket, and I'm just going to tighten this bolt here all the way down. That'll keep our Nerf bar where we want it while we tighten the rest. Now that we've got our Nerf bars firmly secured onto our brackets, we can switch out from our 16mm back to our 13mm socket, and we're going to go ahead and tighten down the 6 bolts that are holding our brackets onto the vehicle frame. So that's really it for the installation. Just a total of 12 bolts to get this on. No drilling, no nothing like that, pretty easy. Now I will say, however, that unlike a lot of Nerf bars and running boards that I've installed, Aries does not give torque specs for the bolts for these Nerf bars. So my suggestion would be to get them tightened down as much as you possibly can. If you've got a longer handled ratchet to give you a little more leverage to get them tighter, that would probably be a good thing too. Now, if after watching this video, you decide that these are the Nerf bars for you and your Colorado, you get them, you install them, and you use them for a little bit, please share with us what you think about them in the comments below. We would love to share your experience with our other neighbors so they can make the best decision for themselves. Once again, I'm Curt with eTrailer. Thanks for stopping by.